Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Chhath Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US sanctions Colombian President Gustavo Petro, accuses him of failing to stop illegal drug trafficking. In a bid to combat global offences costing millions of dollars, UN Cybercrime treaty signed in Hanoi. UN Secretary General hails the landmark agreement by 60 nations. Chhath festivities begin today with sacred Nahai Khaye ritual. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings to all devotees on the auspicious day. Rohit and Virat's record-breaking performance lead India to commanding 9-wicket win over Australia in the third and final ODI at SCG. The US on Friday imposed sanctions on Colombian President Gustavo Petro, accusing him of failing to curb illicit drug trafficking and refusing to stop the flow of cocaine to the US. The US Treasury blacklisted Gustavo Petro, First Lady Veronica Alcocer, his eldest son Nicholas, and Interior Minister, banning them from travel to the United States and freezing any US assets they hold. The action adds Petro to a list of world leaders under US sanctions alongside Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Russian President Vladimir Putin and others. Last weekend, Trump announced an end to hundreds of millions of dollars of US aid to Colombia and threatened tariffs on Colombian goods. Colombian president said he had sought to fight drug trafficking for decades. Gustavo Petro said sanctions on him were a paradox in a post on his social media on Friday. Petro said, "I have no desire and I never will to do business in the United States."
I've never done business. I don't have a dollar in the United States. There's no account to freeze. I have no desire and I never will to do business in the United States. That is why this gathering has an objective, which is not only to talk about Trump. We will not speak about him anymore in this government.
Thousands of supporters rallied in Bogota's Bolivar Square to back President Petro after the United States imposed sanctions on the Colombian leader, escalating tensions between the longtime allies. At the demonstration, supporters carried banners reading, "Thank you, President Petro, for your legacy," and "Petro is not a drug trafficker." Police checked attendees at security checkpoints as crowds streamed into the square, some waving Colombian flags while a drum band played. A move marks a sharp deterioration in relations as US military activity has increased in the southern Caribbean, with Trump accusing Petro of allowing drug cartels to flourish. The Pentagon on Friday ordered the deployment of an aircraft carrier strike group to counter drug trafficking organizations in Latin America. The deployment is part of Trump's military buildup in the Caribbean, which includes 8 additional warships, a nuclear submarine and F-35 aircraft. The Gerald R. Ford, which was commissioned in 2017, is the United States' newest aircraft carrier and the world's largest, with more than 5,000 sailors aboard. The carrier announcement came after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said an overnight strike on a boat alleged to be operated by a Venezuelan drug trafficking gang, Tren de Aragua, had killed 6 people in the Caribbean Sea. The US military has carried out 10 strikes against alleged drug vessels, mostly in the Caribbean, since early September. The deployment marks a significant escalation amid heightened tensions with Venezuela. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said the US is making up an eternal war as the Trump administration announced a US military buildup in the Caribbean. Maduro defended Venezuela as a drug-free country, adding that Venezuela will put an end to the cocaine trafficking that comes from neighboring Colombia.
Se están inventando.
The people of the United States know it. They are making up a new eternal war. They promised that they will never enter a war, and they are making up a war that we will avoid. With the mobilization of the people of South America, as South America and the Caribbean all say no to war, yes to peace, yes to prosperity, yes to harmony and living together.
Caribe todo, dice.
US President Donald Trump departs from the United States to attend the 47th ASEAN Leaders Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Trump is due to arrive in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday morning on the first stop of his trip through Asia. Meanwhile, Malaysian authorities ramped up security measures in Kuala Lumpur for the three-day ASEAN summit. Security personnel were seen conducting thorough checks at all entry points to the venue of the summit, Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre. The summit comes at a critical time as the region grapples with tensions in the South China Sea, the ongoing crisis in Myanmar, and efforts to strengthen economic integration amid global trade uncertainties. Meanwhile, the Thai Prime Minister cancelled his trip to the ASEAN summit in Malaysia due to the Queen Mother's death, but said he still wanted to jet in for a peace deal with Cambodia to be witnessed by US President Donald Trump. Ahead of US President Donald Trump's visit to South Korea for the APEC summit, thousands of South Korean protesters held a rally in downtown Seoul condemning his tariff policies and pressure on South Korea to invest in the United States. The first day of trade talks between the United States and China in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday concluded on a positive note. As per the US Treasury official, the US delegation said that the talks are expected to resume Sunday morning and termed it as constructive. The world's two biggest economies are seeking to avoid further escalating a damaging tit-for-tat tariff tensions, with US President Donald Trump expected to meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in South Korea next Thursday. Trump said on Friday that the issue of Taiwan will also be among the topics discussed with Xi.
I'd love China to help us out with Russia. We put very big sanctions on Russia. I think those sanctions are going to be, they're very biting, they're very strong. But I'd like to see China help us out. I have a good relationship with, as you know, President Xi. Very good. We're going to be meeting. We'll have a good meeting. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a great meeting, maybe a great meeting. But I think we're going to do some good business. One of the things we'll talk about is the Russia-Ukraine.
Well, I'll be talking about Taiwan. Won't be going there, but I'll be talking about it. Won't be too far away. A lot of respect for Taiwan.
Beijing announced this month sweeping controls on the critical rare earths industry, prompting Trump to threaten 100% tariffs on imports from China in retaliation. The two countries also began charging arrival fees on each other's ships, sparked by a US Section 301 investigation that found Beijing's dominance in the industry was unreasonable. Trump and Xi are expected to meet next week in South Korea. A landmark UN cybercrime treaty aimed at tackling offences that cost the global economy trillions of dollars annually was signed in Vietnam's capital Hanoi by around 60 countries on Saturday. The convention, which will take effect after it is ratified by 40 nations, is expected to streamline international cooperation against cybercrime, but has been criticized by activists and tech companies over concerns of possible human rights abuses. The convention targets a broad spectrum of offences from phishing and ransomware to online trafficking and hate speech, the UN has said, citing estimates that cybercrime costs the global economy trillions of dollars each year.
UN Cybercrime Convention is a powerful, legally binding instrument to strengthen our collective defenses against cybercrime. It is a promise that fundamental human rights, such as privacy, dignity, and safety, must be protected both offline and online. It is a testament to the continued power of multilateralism to deliver solutions. And it is a vow that no country, no matter their level of development, will be left defenseless against cybercrime. Over the years, cyberspace has become fertile ground for criminals, giving them unprecedented reach and the ability to move at speeds unimaginable just a decade ago. Every day, sophisticated scams defraud families, steal livelihoods, and drain billions of dollars from our economy.
The Financial Action Task Force, the global terror funding watchdog, has warned Pakistan that its removal from the grey list in October 2022 doesn't make it immune to money laundering and terrorist financing. FATF President Elisa de Anda Madrazo emphasized in a press conference in France that countries including Pakistan must continue implementing measures to prevent and deter crimes. Pakistan was removed from FATF grey list in October 2022 and has been under follow-up to ensure it is implementing anti-terror financing measures. The comments by FATF President come amid reports of Jaish-e-Mohammed using digital wallets to fund terror camps, masking financial flows. Notably, India's National Risk Assessment 2022 identifies Pakistan as a high-risk terror financing source. And Ivorians lined up to vote in a presidential election on Saturday, with incumbent Alassane Ouattara claiming credit for nearly 15 years of economic growth and relative stability, while strongly hinting it will be his final campaign. A former international banker and deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Ouattara took power in 2011 after a 4-month civil war that killed around 3,000 people. The war was triggered by a refusal of his predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo, to acknowledge defeat in the 2010 election. Gbagbo and Tijani Thiam, former CEO of Credit Suisse, were deemed ineligible to run this year, and the remaining opposition candidates lacked the backing of a major political party, making Ouattara the clear favourite. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Bird flu is spreading quickly across Germany, with birds on farms and in the wild both affected by the outbreak. Authorities are trying to prevent further spread of the virus and protect animals, and to avoid damage to agriculture and food industry, officials have urged the public to avoid contact with sick or dead animals to prevent any communicable disease. German and Swiss police have uncovered a plot to sell forged paintings falsely attributed to artists like Rembrandt, Picasso and Miro. A 77-year-old German man and 10 accomplices allegedly tried to sell 20 fake works worth up to 130 million euros. Raids across Germany, Switzerland and Liechtenstein led to arrests, with the suspects later released on bail. The Haskell Free Library, which for over a century allowed Canadians to enter directly from Derby Line in Vermont, is building a new entrance after the Trump administration ended the historic cross-border arrangement, citing border security concerns. Residents expressed nostalgia and concern over the change, which marks a shift in the US-Canada border access. Tropical storm Melissa is expected to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane this weekend, the strongest hurricane ever to hit Jamaica. Rain has already been pounding parts of Haiti and the Dominican Republic for several days now, flooding roadways and triggering landslides. Cuba is also likely to be the next country in the storm's path. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Election campaigning for upcoming Bihar polls gain momentum. Delhi Airport's Terminal 2 reopens. Stay tuned for more updates.
Indian industries are facing pressure because of President Trump's tariff threats.
Even tariffs are part of the story, actually. If you were to look at the whole story of the deindustrialization of India, it began in many ways under the British rule. They say, oh, it's not our fault. India fell behind because you missed the bus for the Industrial Revolution. My answer is, we missed the bus is because you threw us under its wheels.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Chhath Bharadwaj, and the 4-day grand festival of Chhath Puja begins today with the traditional ritual of Nahai Khaye. On this day, devotees take a holy dip in rivers, ponds or other water bodies such as the Ganga or local streams, symbolizing the purification of body and soul. Devotees and worshippers gather along riverbanks and taking holy dips. To ensure the best experience for devotees observing the Chhath Puja, fasting and offering Argh, which means offering to the sun, the preparations were done by the Delhi government at around 1,000 sites across New Delhi, including the development of 17 model ghats. Embankments are being built alongside the river to create a seamless experience. For security, wooden barricades have been installed along the banks of the Yamuna River. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on the first day of Chhath Puja celebrations. In a post on X, he wrote, and I quote, "With the sacred ritual of Nahai Khaye, the 4-day grand festival of Chhath is commencing auspiciously from today. My heartfelt best wishes to the devotees across the country, including Bihar. My salutations and homage to all the observers of the fast." Unquote. The National Democratic Alliance has intensified its election campaign for the upcoming Bihar Assembly polls. As part of the campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah held a large public rally in Khagaria district. The minister opened his address by extending wishes for the Chhath Puja festival and highlighted government's development projects and economic growth. Amit Shah stated that the upcoming Bihar elections focuses on the state's development and credited Prime Minister Modi for strengthening India's economy and securing its borders. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh on Saturday attended the 54th Foundation Day and Convocation Ceremony of the University College of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. In his address, he said the Modi government's top priority has been ensuring accessible and affordable healthcare for all. Highlighting Ayushman Bharat as the country's best insurance scheme, he credited it as a landmark initiative of the government. Dr. Singh added that while India's healthcare sector was once overlooked, the country has now carved out a distinct identity on the global stage.
The last 11 years, as a part of the government headed by Prime Minister Modi, the healthcare focus has been rather, I would say, twofold. On the one hand, if I was to sum it up in my words, I would say 3 A's: accessible, affordable, and available healthcare. I think it was this government which came out with a beautiful concept like Ayushman Bharat. Being all of us there in the practice for almost 3 decades or more, I think this is one of the best health insurance schemes across the world, because there are so many health insurance schemes that have been there around for so many decades, but none of them insured a person for a pre-existing disease. This is the one disease. Today you are detected as having a malignancy or a type 2 diabetes. Tomorrow you go get yourself insured and get all the funding for that, which never happened earlier.
Delhi Airport's revamped Terminal 2 is ready to reopen tonight, marking a major leap in passenger convenience and technology. With smart check-ins, virtual info desks and upgraded infrastructure, the future-ready terminal promises smoother travel and enhanced efficiency. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Delhi Airport is all set for the takeoff into a new era of travel. With the grand reopening of the upgraded Terminal 2, passengers can expect cutting-edge technology, smoother check-ins and world-class comfort, redefining the way India flies.
Delhi Airport is ready to take flight into the future. From the intervening night of October 25th and 26th, the refurbished Terminal 2 at Indira Gandhi International Airport will reopen just in time for the winter schedule. Transformed into a future-ready passenger-first terminal, the new T2 combines comfort, technology and efficiency like never before. For the first time, passengers can enjoy self-baggage drop counters, virtual information desks and real-time flight updates, all designed to make travel faster and smoother. 6 new passenger boarding bridges, improved wayfinding and inclusive facilities for persons with reduced mobility add to the seamless experience.
Reopening the 40-year-old legacy Delhi terminal has now reimagined and revitalized to serve the modern aspirations of the Indian passenger. I would also acknowledge the nationwide and in fact the most popular global leader, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's efforts in specially boosting up the aviation ecosystem in the country in the last 11 years. Today, when we talk about aviation in the country, there is a clear wall in between, that is before 2014 and after 2014. After 2014, in this 11 years, the kind of numbers you see are unimaginable. We have doubled all the numbers, we have passed the pre-COVID numbers, and very much in one of the ways of becoming the largest aviation ecosystem in the whole world.
Behind the scenes, upgraded HVAC systems, modern fire safety, and smart electrical infrastructure ensure operations stay safe and efficient around the clock. Airline operations have also been rebalanced, with Indigo, Air India operating around 120 domestic flights from the new T2. As DIAL CEO Vidhay Kumar Jaipuriar says this reopening marks a milestone in Delhi Airport's transformation journey.
With 120 daily domestic flights by Air India and Indigo shifting to T2, this terminal is now ready to handle growing passenger volume, allowing for more balanced airline operations across the airport and improving passenger convenience. As we reopen Terminal 2, we reaffirm our commitment to passenger delight, safety, sustainability, and innovation. Delhi Airport is not just a gateway, it is a symbol of India's aspirations, resilience, and global ambition.
The all-new Terminal 2 is smarter, safer, and ready for tomorrow's travelers.
And with that, Delhi Terminal 2 is all set to redefine the way we fly. Smarter systems, smooth journeys, and a seamless travel experience from start to finish. As the future takes off at the IGI airport, one thing is clear. For passengers, convenience has just reached a whole new level. With Cab person Pramod Degi, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for GT India from Delhi.
India and Australia are participating in the 4th edition of their joint military exercise Austra-Hind 2025, which will conclude on Sunday. An Indian Army contingent comprising 120 personnel departed on 12th of October for Irwin Barracks, Australia, to participate in the military exercise Austra-Hind. The annual exercise is aimed at enhancing military cooperation, improving interoperability, and providing a platform for participating armies to exchange tactics, techniques, and procedures in the domain of warfare. The exercise will also focus on joint company-level operations in open and semi-desert terrain, wherein troops will undertake missions ranging from joint planning, tactical drills, and special arms skills. India's cricketing stalwarts Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli steered India to a 9-wicket win over hosts Australia in the third and final ODI at SCG. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill started the chase well. However, Gill was dismissed for 24 by Josh Hazlewood after the power play, bringing Virat Kohli to the crease. The Rocco duo turned back the clock and made the chase look easy. Both stamped their authority with an unbeaten 168-run partnership, taking India to the finish line in just 38.3 hours. While Rohit brought up his 33rd ODI century, Kohli bounced back from consecutive ducks to bring up his 75th ODI half-century. Earlier in the game, Harshit Rana returned with impressive figures of 4 for 39 as India bowled out Australia for 236. With this win, India avoided a clean sweep as Australia clinched the series to 1. All right, and my colleague Deepika Mehto is joining me live from the newsroom. Deepika, first of all, congratulations. India won the third encounter. Like I was discussing earlier as well, that all's well if ends well. But the real question is this enough? Because the real test begins when you go overseas and play in their conditions. How do you analyze this encounter?
Yes, this is a big day indeed when we talk about Team India, because too much of a rejoice for the fans who showcased a packed stadium at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It was the much needed victory, the much needed side that the fans were waiting for at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and Rocco delivered the same with a spectacular performance there, scoring so many great partnerships, and yet another one today at the Sydney Cricket Ground, which is a high scoring pitch, and we saw the performance that Team India should have deliver in the first and second ODI, but they did that in the third ODI. However, questions, as you said, remains still there that is that enough? That the coach needs to now analyze that what went wrong, as we were discussing earlier as well.
Yes.
That what went wrong in the first and second ODI when we talk about the bowling and the batting lineup and how balanced or how imbalanced are both the units. What we saw today, the partnership, the kind of performance that Rohit and Kohli, Roko, delivered today. Rohit hitting his 33rd ODI century, 6th against Australia, and 50 overall century in all the formats, and becoming one of the most successful players. And the partnership, the kind of partnership we saw, and the ducks you were talking about, that was seen from Virat Kohli earlier, but now fast forwarding it to the day today when the fans are super delighted to see Virat Kohli in action. And once again, both of them thanked the Australian fans for their continuous support, and Virat Kohli also said that he feels like home only whenever he's playing in Australia, and that is also one of his favorite grounds. Now what happens next in the T20Is remains to be seen, because as in the post-match press conference, Shubman Gill also said that he gets a lot of learning out of these matches, and especially from the senior players when they are performing on the pitch. Now there are many key takeaways for Team India from these ODIs and the highlights that they need to look up to, but now the next aim is to win big, not only make it a successful day but a successful series in the upcoming T20Is.
You're
Siddharth.
absolutely right, Deepika. We have to wait and see what will happen in T20Is, but let's hope for the best. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Chhath Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.